Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the newest movie in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. I Know What You Did Last Summer. A continuation of these requel movies that are just calling the movie by the same name as the original. It's great, and it really, really irks with my OCD a lot. So, like I said, this movie is the newest long awaited sequel in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. I know there've been talks about this movie for a while. They were going to do some different ideas with it. There was even a TV show that came out on Amazon a couple years back. I did not finish it. I started it, I think, a year or so after it came out, and I think I just kind of fell off of it. Not that I was enjoying it. That I wasn't enjoying it is because I work night shift, and I try to watch it when I get home, and I fall asleep. And I got tired of having to try to go back and rewind episodes where I fell asleep. So one day maybe I will jump back on that. So I totally plan to do a review for each movie leading up to this one. I had the same plan with Final Destination. Again, time did not allow me, but based on how how Final Destination was, based on how this movie was, it looks like they're kind of setting it up for another movie. So maybe somewhere down the line I will be able to do that and talk about the movies in depth. But I will have a ranking video out at some point, probably next week, because I will be at GalaxyCon in Raleigh, so I won't be able to go see anything. I'm going to try to see Fantastic Four while I'm down there, depending on how my schedule for that GalaxyCon goes. I don't know what the schedule is yet. So depending on how that goes, we'll see. But probably the weekend I'm down there, that's when I'll put out the ranking video for them. So you'll get a little bit of my thoughts in that video for each movie. But as for now, let's dive into the newest one. So this movie takes place the course of, so many years later after the original two. It's just this is one that's actually not completely getting rid of the sequel. It's actually keeping I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Thank God it ignored the third one. But it did keep the second one, which I was happy about. It don't really, have much to say with that except for a line in the movie and then maybe something later on, which I won't give away. But other than that, there's really not much with the second one, but it was still cool that they kept that one in there and part of the canon, because I know like movies like Halloween and stuff like that, they've completely, anything after the original, they just got rid of. So I'm happy that they did that. Essentially, this movie's the same, tale as the original. It's almost like I know this is supposed to be a requel, which is like a legacy sequel type thing and all that. And it is that, but in the same way, it's almost like a soft reboot of the original one with, different characters, and the story's a little bit different in how they hit somebody on the road or whatever. The classic story, if anybody doesn't know, it's just friends driving on the road on the 4th of July. They accidentally hit somebody, dump his body in the river thinking he's dead, and try to move on with their life, and come to find out, maybe he's not dead. So this movie's in a similar vein as that. So I don't want to say how or what happens in case nobody watched the trailer. So yeah, it's pretty. I mean, obviously, it's the same formula as the first one. So if you've seen the first one, it's just a little bit the hit and run is just a little bit different in this one, which I thought was a cool play, because when I went to go see it, I didn't watch anything past the first trailer. So, which was kind of a cool play for me, because I didn't know how that were going to go, or if it was going to be the exact same thing. So it was that was a surprise to me that they did change that. So I was happy about that. Obviously, this movie introduces a whole new cast of characters. A lot of the actors, I don't know any other projects that they're from. I know one of the main actresses, she's like really big on the Netflix show Outer Banks, I think it is. And the other actors, like I said, they might have popped up in something here or there that I've seen, but for the most part, I do not know really where they're from or who they are. So this is my introduction to them. And of course, you get the legacy characters back of Julie James and Ray, who is, obviously Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt. So I was so happy that they were able to come back. That was really my selling factor in going to see this, because I don't know, I just love those characters. I'm a huge fan of the original movie, and I really like the second one, despite everyone seems to really not like the second one. I really enjoy the second one. Third one, nah, no. But this one, that's really what was my thing for me. I got excited to see them for the little bit we saw them in the first trailer. So I was so happy that they were back, and I thought they did mix well with these newer characters that we did get for the little bit of time that we do have them. We don't have them a whole lot, which I know it's been on record that Freddie Prinze Jr. has said that they are not the main characters of this movie. Obviously, because I figure they're probably trying to go the Scream route where they introduce the new characters with the legacy characters. So I think the little bit that we do get them in here, I I think they mix very well with the new cast. The only thing is, seeing them made me realize how much I miss them and how much more I wanted of them throughout this movie. Because this cast, I don't mind so much of the cast that's in this movie. My problem is I just don't care about the characters. I do not. It's just something about I don't know if it's the way they're written or the way that they're portrayed or what, but I don't give a single crap about any of these characters. So, that is a big miss in slasher movies because yeah, most people show up for slasher movies anyway because they want to root for the killer or they want to see what ways they're going to die in. That's essentially what we're all there for. But occasionally, some movies do come along to where you really do care about the characters. And in this one, I don't know. I found myself, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes in, 30 minutes, 50 minutes in, whatever, being like, okay, where's Freddie Prinze Jr.? where's Jennifer Love Hewitt? And maybe that will change for me. Maybe it's one of those things to where if they do make another one, which as it's the end of this one clearly states that they're heading in that direction, if they do make another one, maybe the characters that did survive will grow on me as whether because I've heard maybe this is going to turn into a new trilogy. I don't know if that's the case. It seems like everything that they do now, whether if they reboot it into a sequel or requel or whatever, immediately they've already got a trilogy planned. So I don't know if that's the case, but maybe along that time, maybe those characters will grow on me a little bit more. Maybe the more I watch the movie, now that I know what to expect, they'll grow on me a little bit more. When I left, I was thinking about the Scream 5, how they tried to do that, where they blended the legacy characters with the OG characters. The only difference I feel about the Scream movies, and I might be biased because I love Scream, it's pretty much one of my favorite franchises ever. I don't dislike a single movie out of that franchise. I just adore that franchise, so I might be biased when it comes to this. But the thing about Scream 5 was, yes, it introduced us to, Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera and Mason Gooding and all these characters. And yes, and even though we got them again in the next movie, I still in Scream 5 when they were first introduced, I still cared about them. I cared about their story. I feel like they had more of an arc, especially Melissa Barrera's character, which sadly we won't get to see how that plays out. It's a story for a whole other video, but my point is in that first movie I cared about them. Like I didn't even think about the OG characters. Like I was so invested in their characters that by the time the OG character showed up, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool." I'd like to see them, how they blend together and all that. And then, of course, in Scream 6, they carried the movie because Nev Campbell wasn't in it. Obviously, David Arquette wasn't in it. Courtney Cox was our only returning OG character. But I cared about those characters. I cared about their arc. They gave them some kind of a story. So I don't know, I just liked their characters better. And in this movie, I just feel like it's a bunch of, you know, rich, good looking kids who cares? It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't care about any of these characters. I they're giving me nothing to latch onto. Again, this is probably an argument that could be made for the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, because we didn't get a lot of Jennifer Love Hewitt or Freddie Prinze Jr. or Sarah Michelle Gellar. But I feel like we got more story from their little bit of time that they were in their movie compared to this movie. And I don't know, that's just a big takeaway for me. Like I said, it could be because I have a nostalgia for that movie. I've sat with those characters for almost 30 years at this point, so that could be a big factor in it. I'm not saying that it's not, but I don't know. I just feel like we got more of their story in that movie than any of the characters that we got in this new movie. And yeah, that was kind of a letdown for me because, like I said, I was watching it and I was just looking for one of the characters to grasp onto. I'm not saying I disliked the cast by any means, but it was just a group of characters together that I didn't care what happened. I was like, I don't care who's in love with who. I don't care who's involved with who's marrying who's doing this, who's doing that. I just didn't care. I didn't care about any of it. Now, I did think this movie was beautifully shot. I think there are certain camera angles and ways that they've shot certain ways when they angle certain deaths and the way they angle the killer. And I think that was really cool to look at. Plus, it's a beautiful movie to look at. It's shot in Australia. And so, they're trying to pass off Australia as North Carolina, which, okay. I love Australia. It's somewhere I've always wanted to go. So, and I live in North Carolina. So it's one of those things I'm kind of like, yeah, okay. I did also believe, to me, this was a really good whodunit factor to it because this is a movie where I really didn't know who the killer was going to be. Because obviously, I figured if you've seen the first two, they weren't going to go that route again. So I didn't know what the killer was going to be, what the motivations were going to be. I had absolutely no idea. So I think it really succeeded on that front. It played a really good whodunit, and I like slasher whodunits a lot. And I know a lot of people have that ability to where they can pretty much figure out who the killer is based on somewhere in the movie, if not the trailers. And most of the time I try to block all that out and I just try to watch the movie because I just want to go into it blind and figure out things for myself and try to enjoy it and not have that in the back of my mind going. But this is a movie, yeah, even from the start, from all the way to up until the reveal, I really had no clue who the killer is. I had a few guesses here and there, but they weren't solid like that's 100% the killer. I had a few theories upon things too, and they turned out to be wrong as well. So again, they did a really good job at the slasher whodunit angle. Another issue I really had with this movie was the pacing. I felt like it was a lot of, trying to build stuff between characters that you didn't flesh out to begin with. So you were kind of in this thing of like, well, why should I care about this when, I don't know anything about this? And there was a ton of that throughout it. And you didn't get to the actual slashing stuff until maybe, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes into the movie. Like that, you had a few here and there that were, non-main characters but and again, you could make the same argument in the second I Know What You Did Last Summer. A lot of people complain about the pacing of that one, how you're 45 minutes into the movie and the only two people that they've killed is people that's not a part of the cast. Totally get that. Again, it could be a nostalgic thing for me, but I don't know. I felt it in this movie compared to that movie. I just rewatched all these last night, so I felt it in this one compared to I Know What You Did, or I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So I don't know. That could be a me thing, but I felt like the pacing was a thing, a big thing for me. And there was a lot of back and forth where it's like, oh, the killer's almost got one of the main characters, and no, and he's gone. And that happens repeatedly, and at least 2 or 3 times in this. It's like, oh, almost got him, and he's gone. Almost got somebody, and he's gone. So, like, you're almost over an hour and some change into this movie, and all 5 people are still alive, and you're like, let's get to it. let's get to the killing. So, I don't know. Like I said, that could be a me thing, but that's one of the issues that I had with it personally. When it comes to slashers, one of the biggest things for me, obviously, is the reveal of the killers. Killers, whatever. Depending on whatever movie you're watching. And in this one, I felt I was very let down by that. And that's something I don't say a lot when it comes to slashers. Because I love slashers. They're one of my favorite genres. And I go into them just to strictly have fun. I just have fun with them. I don't think too much about them. I'm like, this is fun. I'm doing this for fun. And this one, it felt not only incredibly rushed, it's like almost like they ran out of time near the end of it. And it just felt really, really rushed. It's like they needed to get from one point to another, and it was like, okay, this happens, now they're on this, and here's the reveal, and it's over. And then here's a little bit at the end. And you're like, wait a minute, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're like, I just spent almost 2 hours with these characters for a 5-minute ending, and you're like, what happened with that? Obviously, I can't go into stuff with the killer, and I can, and then stuff that happens at the end. I can't get into any of that because I don't want to spoil anything in case people are, excited who do want to see this movie. It just didn't work for me, and the reveal, not only was it rushed, but it's a reveal that I did not like at all. I think the whole thing just fell apart for me in the third act. And to be honest with you, the reveal makes no sense to me. I understand to a point what they were going for and what they were trying, the message they were trying to, portray with it. But I don't know. It just didn't work for me. As soon as, through the whole movie, I was kind of like, anyway. And then by the time it got to that and the reveal and everything else, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. That's another reason I'm glad that I didn't. But a few days before this movie came out, I constantly saw people say, all because of the second or third trailer, whichever one came out, the latest was, everyone was like, this person's the killer. That's going to be the killer. I know that's going to be the killer. I know that's going to be the killer. That's going to be the killer. And because of that trailer, they're like, I know that's the killer because of this. And I was like, one, I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer. And second, I was like, nah, they wouldn't do that. So that's too obvious. So that's way too obvious, and I don't know, wouldn't make a lot of sense. No, all the people that said that, they called it, and I was kind of like, yeah. So another reason not to watch trailers. But anyway, I don't know. Like I said, that particular, it just did not work for me, and it really just bummed me out because I was kind of like, and like I said, then they set it up for, another movie or two movies, whatever they're going to do after that. And I'm kind of like, okay. So I was like, sure. I was like, after this one, my excitement level kind of went down a little bit. So we'll see. Maybe in the future, like I said, I'll be more on board with these characters and how they interact with the legacy characters more as the movies go on. Unless the newer characters in this one, they're just done, which I don't see happening. I don't see that they're just going to, be like, okay, I'm good, and go on their way. There's an overall theme in this movie with the legacy characters about trauma. And yes, I feel at this point that is becoming a trope in these requels, legacy sequels, whatever you want to call them. They started in Halloween, and I felt like they've done it in just about every movie at this point where these characters come back, which I get it. If you go through something like this, yes, you are going to have trauma. But I feel like at this point, like I said, it's become almost like a trope of its own where they're just beating you in the head with it. And we're like, we get it. I totally get it. And I don't know, one of the last things, negative-wise, I will say, is for me, I felt like a lot of the dialogue in this movie was just cringeworthy. It was just, where it just didn't feel like real people. It felt like this was like watching a one of those MTV teen shows with a slasher element to it, which is a complaint that I had really about the Scream TV show. It was a lot of high school melodrama BS with, Ghostface added in, which I actually ended up enjoying the Scream TV show, but that's how I felt the majority of this movie. It's just almost like this, teenage, like I said, love story that, again, you didn't care about, that was more of like an MTV style, type thing with this slasher element mixed into it. And I was kind of just like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, what are we doing? Because the first one, the original one, I felt was a great thriller. The original one, Kevin Williamson, love the dude. I think he just knows how to write great thrillers. Can't wait to see what he does with Scream 7. But I don't know. The writing in this movie, I mean, not all of it. I mean, for the most part, I was on board with, stuff that was going on. I could tolerate it, but there was a lot of it that I was like, what the fuck am I watching? And it could have been because I was in this could be a movie too that could completely flop for me or completely flip for me. I saw this movie after I got off work and I tried to sleep for a few hours and I had to go see it. And I was extremely tired when I saw this movie. So I could have just been in a shitty mood when I saw this movie. But I don't know. I just walked out of it feeling very, very disappointed. Which I might be on an island with, because from what I've seen, there's been people that's been calling this movie the greatest legacy sequel that's come out. It's lived up to all the hype, and they've loved it. And I don't get the part about the greatest legacy sequel part that I okay, that I don't get, but sure. And I'm not knocking anybody that really enjoyed this movie. I actually want to watch some reviews and read some reviews on what people really enjoyed, because I know there's a good handful of people that really did enjoy this movie. So I would like to see what they got out of it and what enjoyment they got out of it. So like I said, I might be on an island with this. So this is all just my opinion and how I felt about the movie. And as someone who is a fan of the original two, it just didn't quite get there for me. In the end, it was fun to see the legacy characters come back, even though they really didn't have a lot to do, especially Jennifer Love Hewitt. I felt like she was kind of just put in last minute. That was kind of like, here, yeah, we want her to come back, but we don't know what to do with her, so we'll put her here. And I love Freddie Prinze Jr. I think he's somebody that I wish would do more. And I just felt like their characters they're there. I mean, they're there, but I just wish they had more of them, because like I said, as the movie went on, I was like, I just want to see them. I would have been cool if they would have done a legacy sequel involving just them, and where they would have went. But I understand, what are you going to do with the story? I totally get that. There's only so much you can do with a dead fish, a dead fisherman that can come back to life so many times. And I know at the end of the second one, they kind of left that on a cliffhanger as well. And so I don't know what they could have done with that. It's something that could have happened, years later. But again, it's one of those things of, what are you going to do with it? It's been two movies, and this is a franchise that I don't feel like you could get a lot of sequels out of, because what are you going to do with it? The third one, that I Always Know What You Did Last Summer, it went a little bit more supernatural, and that's no. So that just didn't. I just felt like that did not work for a franchise like this. I mean, at the end of the day, I thought this movie was okay. I was like, which is so sad, because I was really looking forward to this movie, because I was so happy that the two legacy characters were coming back. I do appreciate that they told a somewhat different story. It's a different motivation, different, whatever, and all that stuff. But in the same vein of using, the killer, the fisherman killer, and all that stuff with on the 4th of July and all that stuff. So all that remains the same. Just a lot of the story motivations are different, which, again, I really appreciate that they didn't go the same route. And again, which I can totally understand why they didn't do just a legacy sequel with the two remaining characters that were left over, because what are you going to do? So while I do appreciate some of the directions that this movie went and some of the choices that they made, a lot of them just didn't work for me. At the end of the day, they didn't work for me, and I left this movie very underwhelmed and kind of disappointed. And I don't know. We'll see where the future goes. I am very curious where the future is going to go, because the way it ended, I was like, okay, this could be interesting. So I don't know. Like I said, I'll keep an open mind. I love slasher movies. I'll happily go watch any slasher movies. But as a fan of the first two, this one was disappointing to me. Now, if you love the original, or maybe even the second one, I would say go see it, go check it out. You might have a better time with it than I did. Like, everybody else seems to be really enjoying this. I've only seen a few people who've been disappointed with it or had issues with it so far. So this could be one of those things to where, it's very rare that a movie comes out that I dislike that everyone else loves. It's usually the opposite. Everyone else hates it and I love it. So, and I'm not saying I dislike this movie. I am right in the middle. I'm just like, it was fine. It was okay. It's definitely better than the third one. I'll give you that. Definitely better. But I just think that for a movie that I was excited for. I mean, I didn't have a lot of expectations going into it because this is a franchise that no one really talks about. It's always more Scream because it's 90s, and that I've always really appreciated. I felt like it's kind of been in the underdog of the 90s slashers, and for a fan of those, I don't know, I was just disappointed. To me, there is a certain magic about 80s movies in general, and now I feel like we're slowly getting into the era where there's that bit of magic with 90s movies. And I feel like there's a certain nostalgia and magic that those movies had that they just can't capture today with certain things. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the storytelling, or I don't know if it's just the time that we're in, or what. I feel like they can't capture that magic, that certain feel that the originals had. And I don't know. Again, that might just be me, but I don't know. If I would say check it out if you're a fan of the movies. Like I said, you might walk out of this really enjoying it because I might be on my own with this one, but I would temper your expectations and maybe just go into it to have some silly good fun. And I don't know, you might get some enjoyment out of it, or you might leave disappointed. So thank you, everybody. That's my review for the I Know What You Did Last Summer for 2025. If you have seen this movie, please comment below. If you loved it, please comment below and let me know what you thought about it, because I'd love to know what people really enjoyed about this movie. The people I saw it with, I was in a pretty packed theater, and they seemed to really be, laughing and giggling and having a really good time with it and really getting into it. And I'll be honest with you, most of the stuff from the new cast, I didn't laugh at all. Like the one of the jokes that I really enjoyed that no one else laughed at came from Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character, and I thought it landed really great, but nobody else laughed. So who knows? And if you disliked it, please comment below and let me know what didn't work for you. If you do talk about anything spoilery, just kind of leave a spoiler thing before you post anything. I'm just trying to keep it spoiler-free for anybody that does want to go check this movie out and check out the experience and enjoy it and all that good stuff. So if you like what I'm doing, please come over to the channel and check out all my other 2025 reviews. I've got a pretty good handful so far. Please comment, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And that way I can see you in the next one. Thank you so much.